Good morning, good day, and good evening. I'm, as always, your host, Brody Robertson, and last weekend, it was time for another year of AvCon. AvCon, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically the major anime and video game convention that happens in my state. As always, it was a lot of fun. As always, I spent money on quite a few things. Some cool things, okay? Don't get me wrong, some cool things. We got this, I don't know how well it's going to show up. Probably terribly with the lights, actually. We have a couple of Hollow Knight bookmarks here. This is just what happens to be directly in front of me. We have a Hornet one right here. It's got like this reflective foil on it. And we have one of the Knight as well. Wow. This is probably the cheapest stuff that I bought. I did buy quite a few other things. Is there anything within reach I can grab? Oh, there's there's Grim from where yeah, right there. You got Grim from Dynana Orgy, and right next to it you have a Palico from Monster Hunter. There's probably some other stuff around the place that I can probably point to. I've got some posters to put up, like up on the thing here. Actually, wait, you know what? Let me see what's actually in that. I don't know what I can like easily just get to. What is the poster right at the top? Of course, they are both turned around. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? Oh, that's actually a cool one. Yeah, I forgot about this one. We got this koi one. That's sick. That's going to go up somewhere. I'm not really sure where. I'm probably going to take some of the... I've got 4 up here and then 6 over there. I'll probably take down some of the ones... I might take down some of the Fate posters I have up. Maybe some of the other ones. I don't know. And I've got some spots, like, down there that I could put them in. So I might do that. Yeah. I don't know what the number actually was. I've not fully calculated. Oh, right. The shirt that the shirt that I have on. I bought the shirt as well. We turn around. Oh, wow. Look at that. Wow. Wow. There's some other things as well. Some other things around the place. There's going to be stuff just, like, floating around. That's what tends to happen. I love going to AvCon. Not even just for, like, the buying a lot of, like, fan creation stuff. I just like the vibe. I like the vibe of just being around people who I know all have relatively similar hobbies. You might have different tastes in games, different tastes in anime, but everyone is kind of just there for the same purpose, to just sort of enjoy being around this. And it's kind of nice to be able to go there and meet some of the... I'm becoming one of the greybeards, right? I'm becoming one of the old heads. I'm becoming one of the people who is like, hey, who remembers this series from like 25 years ago? And then all the new gen fans are like, what? I watched Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. And then I'm like, yeah, but like, what about Haruhi? Go watch Haruhi. Hey, what about this fucking random... What about some random magical girl bullshit from the 90s? What about that? And they're like, I've never heard of that. I was like, oh, fuck. I remember when I first started watching stuff and it was like, oh, these series were old, people knew them. Now you have this whole generation who's just like, I have no idea. And I'm sure this is what, like, a music fan feels like, or a cinema... or a cinema fan feels like. They're like, hey, here's this amazing work from 1963, and any new fans are like, I've never heard of that band. I've never heard of that director. I've never seen that movie. I've no idea what you're talking about. Maybe they'll know about some of like the real big hits, you know. I don't know, fucking Forrest Gump. What year was Forrest Gump from? Let's find out. Forrest Gump. I don't know where we're going with this episode, by the way. 94. Maybe, you know, it's not even that old. Bad example. Maybe people will know about some random fucking Titanic. I don't know. Pick some bullshit. Some Romeo and Juliet adaptation. But then it's like, hey, here's this random niche bullshit that people kind of knew. And it's like, no. No idea whatsoever. That's me now. That is me with anime. And... I, you know what? I don't hate it. I don't like it, but I also don't hate it because it means I don't have to deal with the modern fans in, like, the older series, which is good. But, you know, it is what it is. I did bring up Avcon for a reason, though. So, previous years, I have done a lot of the game developer interviews. There is a problem that exists in the Adelaide game developer scene. I've been going to Avcon, I don't know, fucking 10 years at this point. Obviously, the older games, they're all good, they're all released. But in the past, I would say 3 or 4 years, yes, you have a couple of new titles that appear and stuff like that, but I'm seeing a lot of the same games. And these are games which I thought would have been released like a year or 2 years ago. And I have seen them at Avcon, not at Avcon with post-release updates, at Avcon with their, beta build, with their demo build, still, a good year or 2 out from release. Some of these games are going to probably release 5 years in, and these aren't massive scale games. These are at least what's supposed to be small scale indie titles. I don't want to call out anyone in particular in the scene, but anyone who anyone who is in the Adelaide scene who might see this, you probably know who you are, and I probably know you. We've probably had a couple of conversations, not about this, but we definitely know each other. And I don't think that this is this isn't some crazy shout out, some crazy oh my god, the scene is collapsing. But I think a lot of developers have really overscoped games. They're not games which would be crazy for a team of 5, 10 people, right? But I'm seeing games that are scoped for a 5-person team, and there's 2 guys working on it. And in many cases, they're not working on it full time because they don't have the money for it. They're going to work part time, stuff like that. So they've actually got to spend time doing other things, not just working on the game. And a lot of these games, I think, are going to be super, super cool when they actually release. It's just, who the fuck knows when some of these games are coming out? And it's a problem because in a lot of cases, the games tend to be in a very, very similar state when I play them. Because a lot of people, especially with there's 2 problems. The artistic complexity games, where they have a lot of art assets, and there's just a guy who does the art, or even worse, there's just a guy. There's not even a guy for the art. It's the art guy, the programmer, the director. He just does all the same stuff. Then you have the mechanically complicated games. You have the games that have these really deep, really complicated systems. Oftentimes these end up being card games and stuff of that nature. But card games are especially a problem because they're both mechanically complex and artistically complex, because then you need card art, and if you're going to have card fusions, then you need card art for the fusions, then you need this other stuff and this other stuff, and it becomes this problem where you're going to spend a lot of time doing stuff. Now, there is a benefit there if you do have a separate programmer and an art guy. When either the systems or the art are kind of delayed, you do give the other person a lot of time to go and refine that other part, right? If things are held up by the programmer, the artist can go and spend more time in the art. They can clean things up they didn't have time to do before. They can maybe make new art for things like alt art, stuff like that, which just would not really have been viable before. Same thing with the other direction, right? If you're programming stuff, as long as you don't end up creating more art, you can make some of the systems more mechanically complicated. You can work on more complicated AI systems that don't require any new assets. You can work on these more complicated, terrain generation, things like that, where it doesn't add anything else the artist needs to do, but it makes things more, hopefully interesting, but more complicated on you as well. And you can sort of put more of yourself into it. And that's great. But the problem is, these games need to come out, right? These games eventually need to release. And I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know when some of them are releasing, let alone the fact that there is There is a game that has been at AvCon for quite a while now. Anyone who has been to AvCon knows the game I'm talking about, who has actually released now, and they were still at AvCon with the same build that they'd been showing before, now as just like a post-release advertisement thing. So we're very much in this lull for the specifically Adelaide game developer scene. I can't speak for Melbourne or Sydney or anything else like that, but Adelaide right now is this very slow kind of time. And there's some games where they do have big teams behind them, but then they were like, let's completely shift up the direction. Let's redo a lot of stuff. Let's rebuild things from the ground up. And you're like, okay, that's great, but especially if you have actual employees, you especially need to release the game, right? It's one thing if you're doing this thing, you started as like a student project at AIE, UniSA, something like that, and then it's like, okay, well, we don't really need to release that quickly. But when there is that time sort of sensitivity, when you have a Kickstarter where you're like, I got money here, I got deadlines to hit, when you got grants and all that, that's the other thing. A lot of the developers who are taking this time to really polish up their games, arguably more than they should, and scope their games way bigger than they should be. A lot of them are then going and applying for grants to make the scoping actually possible. I hope things go well in this scene because I want there to be a strong Adelaide game developer scene because there are people who are really talented in Adelaide. And I don't just mean Team Cherry, right? Team Cherry is obviously in Adelaide. Amazing developers, amazing team. But there are all of these other people who have these great ideas who I think if they can actually finish their game and get it released, are going to do well. And if not on this game, they are going to eventually make a game that sells really well. Eventually, they're going to be noticed because they are making really good work. It's just the game needs to be released. I think a lot of people have this idea of making their dream game. And it's not just dream game. It's like dream software, any sort of thing that you're building over time. And they make that as their first thing. And with that, you end up having to redo a lot of early stuff, right? If you start programming and then you're like, I'm going to make my dream game. It's a Metroidvania, roguelike, hard bullshit, whatever your dream game happens to be. If you started programming with that game, about 6 months in, you were going to rewrite the entire game. And then about a year and a half in, you're going to rewrite the game again. And eventually you have to decide, the code's going to suck. The code's going to suck no matter how many times I rewrite it. Because I'm just going to keep learning more and more stuff. And if I don't eventually just put it out there, I can be here forever, right? If you have a game, if you have a piece of software and you're using that as like this benchmark forever, you can always improve the code. There's always something you can do. There's always something you can add, especially when you're adding stuff, right? When you're adding systems, then you got a whole nother world of problem you got to deal with. And yeah. I've got ideas for doing my own game development. Like, this is a problem, right? I have these ideas that I want to do. It's like not a crazy scoped game either. I don't want to say it just in case someone's like, oh, I'm going to do that thing now. I've got some ideas. It's just a matter of me actually sitting down and doing them. Maybe at some point, I don't know. Who knows? At some point, I might be demoing my game at AvCon. If I do, and you see me there, feel free to say hi. I probably won't bite. Probably. It is weird. It is weird seeing people who I knew from high school, from university, who are now demoing their games at AvCon. Like, I've met a number of game developers, but there is a bunch of people there who I know personally. I've known for like over 6 years, 8 years, 10 years in some cases, which is crazy, right? Because a lot of these people kind of disappeared for a while and were kind of, going into industry, doing their own stuff. So it's cool to see people sort of coming back now that they actually have. I don't know. Look, some of these people I haven't spoken to in a while, so I don't really know what's going on in their personal life. But coming back and sort of doing that thing they initially had that interest for, they really want to just expand upon and like actually make something. And it's kind of inspiring. Every time I see someone that I personally know who has now gone on to actually do some of this game development stuff, it is super cool. And like I am very happy for them, especially for the ones who are doing really well. I've got one friend who is working on a game which is now at about, at least last time I spoke to him, 4 days ago, I think it was at 7,000 wish lists, which might not sound like that many, but for a like first release game, which is very close to being released, those are like actually quite big numbers, and is gonna convert into like a quite large number of sales, which is fucking cool. Like so cool to see that happen. And honestly, again, it's one of those things I'm like, it's not even just, like, it's not the money thing, but it's like, I got these ideas and I want to do stuff. Every time I see someone do well, I'm like, I should go and actually do this. I should actually sit down and properly focus on a project and really see what I can do with it, where I can take it. And hey, if it goes nowhere, who cares? Ultimately, who actually cares? But I don't know. I want to do more programming. It's just a matter of me being along many things in my life, me being lazy, going to the gym, me being lazy, me getting out more, me being lazy. That one I'm at least doing, but you know. You win some, you lose some. I don't know. Now, yeah, you know what? We're still on the topic of Australia. Let me talk briefly about some other thing that probably no one actually cares about, but I didn't know about it until someone told me. So, I think what is it? July 27th, we have a test of our emergency alert system. Now, I didn't know that we didn't actually have a proper working alert system. Australia things are... Look, nothing... What do we have happen here? If you're on the coast, you get a cyclone. If you're anywhere else, you get a fire. Maybe. Maybe you'll get like a... You know, let's see what the last earthquake in Australia was. Last earthquake in Australia. How big was it? There was a... Ooh, wow. There was a 3.9... this was past 30 days. It was in Victoria. And it was coastal, so no, that doesn't really matter. 3.9 in Victoria. Ooh. Ooh, wow. Let me see the last earthquake in South Australia. Because last time they made a big deal about it, it was really funny. Yeah. Okay, past 24 hours, 1.6. Okay, that doesn't... that doesn't... 1.6 doesn't count. Basically, in Australia, we don't really get, like, actual serious earthquakes, like, ever. And if we do, they're usually off the coast. Oh, wait. We got a 5.5 a couple of months ago. Look, this is what happens in Australia. This is like how serious it gets here. In the middle of nowhere, there's like a crack in the ground. That's what you get. Like, we don't really get like natural disasters besides fire for the most part in Australia. So I didn't even know that our alert system was literally just SMS based. Our alert system was actually just SMS based. We didn't have like a proper, alarm system that a lot of countries have for, tsunamis, real earthquakes, hurricanes, all of that good stuff. And you know what? I have a feeling a lot of people probably are not going to realize the test is happening either. And especially the night shift workers. I think the test is going to be at like 2 p.m. Yes, 1:30 p.m. in South Australia. I have a feeling some night shift workers are not going to know about it and are going to be very annoyed when they get woken up by an alarm in their house. Now, you can just set your phone to airplane mode if you want to, and, then you won't hear it. But it sends it out through cell signals, so it doesn't matter if you're on, like, do not disturb or anything. It's just, like, the alert is being forced onto your phone. I don't know why I'm talking about this, by the way. I got no idea. I've just got like, whenever I do these solo episodes, I just have a bunch of random shit written down that somewhat interested me, and then I try to see if I can go anywhere with it. Speaking of things I can go anywhere with, do you guys ever just go and like look at house prices? Like just, hey, how much are houses in the place that I grew up? How much are houses where I'm living now? Especially if you're like renting or, you know, roommate or anything like that. Do you ever just like go and see like, if I wanted to buy a house, like how much would that actually cost? I do that every so often. It makes me sad. I don't know why I do it, but I'm always curious, like, is there ever going to be a point where I can just live at the place that I want to live? Like I'm renting right now, right? Like I'm happy where I am, but like actually like own a place around the area that I want to be. We'll see where we go. But on that note, I saw this and it also made me sad. I think this account is a troll. I don't know. The way he's been replying to people makes it seem like it's a troll. I don't actually know. This might even be just like an AI generated dude. But this picture here, even if it is a troll, whatever, because this is something that people actually do. For anyone just listening, we've got this, I don't know, 70s, 80s style house. We've got the plaid couch, the fucking picnic. It just looks like a picnic blanket couch. Wood grain on the walls, giant TV cabinet with a TV that sits right near the edge because these TV cabinets were made for TVs that are way, way deeper than this is. You've got probably like a snake tank or something on the floor here, birds on the wall, probably like a popcorn ceiling style deal. And then the after picture of this is just... I know so many people that have houses like this. It's fucking awful. Everything is white. That white couch, white cabinet, white bench, white chairs, fucking white ceiling, bright LED lights, tile white floors. Oh my god, I fucking hate tile floors. Why is this a thing that modern Australian houses do? Yes, it's easy to clean, but God, does it suck in winter. God, does it suck if your feet are kind of sore. You're like, I don't want to step on something really hard right now. Nope. Everything is a fucking tile. The older I get, the more, like, you know, there was a point where I saw this and I was like, that looks nice. Now I see this like, wow, that looks like a lobby for a hotel. Doesn't even look like a hotel room. This looks like a fucking lobby for a hotel. And I see something like this, and I've got some, like, older family friends, and, like, friends of my parents who are quite old, like, in their 80s or so, and I see a house like this, and I'm like, I never had a house, like, that looked like this, right? Like, the childhood house had, like, wood grain, but I did have, like, older uncles and aunts who had a place that almost one for one looked like this. And the older I get, and it's probably just nostalgia. I'm not going to even argue that fact. It's probably just nostalgia. It's like, you know, remember that time when you were like 5 years old, you were running around your aunt and uncle's place, you chasing after their dog, having fun. I was like, there's something really soothing about a space like this. And I think what it is two things. One, it is nostalgia, but two, it actually feels like it's lived in. So many modern, especially like hyper modern designs like this, they just don't have any personality. And when they do have personality, like they have a painting like this, you're like, I don't know who this person is, right? When you see a house like this, you start to sort of, and not even just like the family pictures, but there's going to be like random little bullshit around the place, or the fact they have a picnic blanket couch, or these plants up here, or the birds on the wall. There's true personality there, or even just like basic things like having a feature wall in the house. The idea of having a feature wall, painting a wall a certain color, people don't do it. Like, yes, it's done to some extent, but it is so much rarer in modern houses. In modern houses, I can't speak for anywhere else, but in Australia, it's common to have white floors, cream to white walls, cream to white cabinets, And everything else is just fucking white. It's just fucking white. And oh my god, it's so boring. This is one of the things I do want to avoid when I eventually do have like my own place. It's not even just a matter of saving money. I do just kind of want to go get a bunch of like old furniture, old cabinets, old table. I've got like a table made by a family member. It's a nice table. It wouldn't fit anywhere in a modern house, but it is like there's like something there. And obviously, I'm gonna fucking put anime posters all around the place and other bullshit like that. But there's like a personality there that I think it's not just even houses, right? It's like cars. Let me find the chart. Chart of car colors. Chart of car. Yeah, is this the one? Yeah, this is the one. This is the one I'm talking. I've probably shown it before. I don't know. Thank you, Reddit. Appreciate it. Can I just get the picture by itself? Nope. Can I? Okay, you know what? Thank you, Reddit. I fucking love this site. Anyway, 1971. You had grey cars, you had black cars, you had white cars, but they were a minority of the car colors. You'd have like blue and red and a little bit of brown. Brown was still less than grey at this point, but green and yellow. And then blue stayed kind of the same. Red got more popular for a bit. Brown became very popular in the 80s. Then red took over even more. Blue started to go down. White went up, black went massively up, and then over time, that's kind of the direction things went. Blue stayed popular into the 2000s, and now in the 2020s, it's like, what do you see on the road? Grey, black, white. A little bit of blue, a little bit of red, but mostly grey, black, and white. And it's the same thing. And a lot of it comes down to like resale value, right? Because if you have a house where it is white walls, white floors, white ceilings, white fucking cabinets, like there's no personality, but no personality is easy to sell. Same with cars. If you have a white car, no one dislikes a white car, right? Like you might have a preferred option of something else, but it's not offensive. But if you get like, I don't know, a lime green, like a real bad lime green, like, I'd buy it because it's funny. But like a lot of people, kind of step away from that. I remember back when I first moved out and I was looking at rentals before I started like share housing. There was this house I looked at where out from the outside, it seemed like I wouldn't say modern, but probably built, it looked like it was built at the earliest 2005. But in the house, oh my god, in the house was something else. I'm not even going to say it looked like it walked out of the 80s, because some of the rooms did, but every room was a different color. The door frames were different colors. The cabinets, I think the cabinets were like 3 or 4 different colors. And looking back on it now, it was a very striking house, but there's definitely a part of it which seemed like exciting. Whereas what you get a lot of now is nothing's exciting. Nothing's exciting. Everything is just bland and corporate and clean and boring. So bring some excitement into your life. Even if you can't afford to buy like new stuff or anything like that, like go see what you can find at like an op shop, at a Salvos, at like a what do you guys have as like secondhand stores? I don't know. Savers is a thing here. I know that exists. Like it started in the US. Whatever you guys have, like go see, like like buy some random fucking mugs. See what like old cups you can find. Make sure if the cups are green, check them with a black light, because they might be uranium cups. Be careful. Don't drink out of those ones. Bad idea. You can on occasion find uranium glass around various secondhand stores. If they know what they have, they'll probably categorize it correctly. If they don't know what they have, make sure if you see something green, you check if it is uranium glass, because you probably don't want to eat or drink off of that one. At least that's what I'm gonna say. And if they do know it's uranium glass, usually it's gonna a little bit expensive. I only know about uranium glass because my parents for a while were like going around places trying to find every bit of uranium glass they could buy, and just like that was just the thing they were collecting at the time. I don't know if they're still doing it. I don't think they are. I think they filled up their uranium glass cabinet and then just moved on to other things. I don't know. I don't even know how much they have. Probably too much. It was a relatively big cabinet they had. Yeah. We've talked basically no tech the entire time. I guess we need to talk about the, like, Australian game industry a little bit. But, not a lot of it. Not for a show called Tech Over Tea. That's definitely for sure. I'll probably be where I'm at for quite a while still. Like, because I'm share housing with one of my mates, he gives me cheaper rent, which is nice. So I don't pay as much rent, which is very, very nice. Because, buying a house. Still a little bit outside of the comfortable range, we will see. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk a bit about tech. We probably should do that. So, I don't know if it's going to be out by the time you guys see this. It might. I've recorded the video already, but it depends on the upload schedule. Plasma big screen. I recently made a video on this, and honestly, I think the project is really, really cool. Albeit, it is a little bit buggy right now. Just a little bit buggy. I have had a couple of cases of things crashing. I don't really know replication conditions. It does have controller input, which I think is very, very cool. But a lot of KDE applications don't really play nicely with a controller. So whilst you can, it's like, it's not pleasant to work with. So you can also do mouse emulation with your, I think it's right thumbstick, and then clicking with the right thumbstick is gonna like emulate a mouse. So like you can kind of make do with it, but you also can't interact with the virtual keyboard using the controller. So you can open it with the controller by pretending to be a mouse, but you don't have that thing where on Steam with like a Steam input, like a SteamOS, where you can just enter any field with the Plasma keyboard using the controller. You can, again, by clicking the keys with the cursor, like with the cursor emulated by the stick, but it's just, it's not a good experience right now. As it currently stands, you probably don't really want to do that. But in places where it works, so if you have a Plasma Big Screen and then you sort of go right into Steam Big Picture mode, or you have a media player that has controller input, or other little areas where it works quite well, it is super cool. It is so cool, and I'm excited to see where the project goes, because there was a long time ago, back in the Unity days, where, let me see if I can find the video now, Linux Unity TV, Austin Evans. Wait, I probably linked to the Austin Evans video in my video. Yes, I did do exactly that. Thank you, Brody, from 3 years ago.
Live from CD. Hey guys, this is Austin reporting live from
14 years ago from Austin Evans. 10K views. So this is something that was happening with Unity. They were trying to be more like a smart TV competitor, but the same kind of idea. This is kind of what they were working on back then. Unity is kind of the last time we had something of this nature. I guess you can argue Plex is kind of like it, but Plex is specifically video, right? And obviously, Ubuntu TV was kind of specifically video as well, but you could probably do other things as well. I'm liking this is coming back as a thing, right? Because people are interested in the idea of the Steam machine, and you're going to use it as kind of like a under the TV kind of PC. So if you have that there and it gets to a point where it's good enough, then maybe that could ship with SteamOS. Right now, it's this like secondary session, so you can't just like easily swap into it. Like, there's a couple of things that make it a little bit tedious to work with. But I think down the road, this could be another area where Plasma is just filling a niche, filling a use case that a lot of people have. And I've talked about this a lot recently, and I do think it is worth repeating. I think KDE is doing utterly amazing work, and it really shows, right? Like, I've talked about this before. This is PKG stats. This is packaged installations on Arch Linux. The blue line here, that's Plasma. That's KDE Plasma. The red line here, that's GNOME. And the green line, that's XFCE. Obviously, this is just KDE, right? And for like the past year or so, it's been just Arch Linux. For the past year or so, it's been popping off. There has been this like, there was this like, 6-year period where it was kind of not really going anywhere. It like fell down, went back out. It was kind of just not really doing anything. But ever since like Plasma 6 came out, it really has just entirely changed. Now, you might see that GNOME started falling off quite a bit earlier, but that's a GNOME thing for you. I'm really happy with Plasma right now. I really am happy with Plasma. I've been using it for the past couple of weeks. I still haven't done my video on like my long-term thoughts of Plasma, but ever since they added in the proper virtual desktops, like, I like Neri. I really like Neri. And I still need to do a video on Carousel and try out Carousel, but I don't dislike working with a floating environment as much as I thought I did. I think most of my issue with it actually was the fact that virtual desktops did not work properly. I actually think that's a big part of it. And I know saying that is crazy. I still love my tiling. I still love my scrolling environment, but it's not as bothersome to use now that I have working virtual desktops. Now that I do like weird hacks to like do sticky windows and dumb idea to make it work. I think people are starting to realize that Plasma right now, like, it's not KDE 4 anymore. Like, it's not KDE 4. We're not in the space where it's incredibly buggy. Now, big screen's buggy, but big screen is a secondary part of Plasma, not really part of the main session right now. Things have only gotten better in the past couple of years. There's been a lot more features added. There's been a lot more use cases being solved. And that can't really be said about every environment out there, right? Like, KDE, even if you don't agree with every single thing they do, you can trust the fact that they are working towards making the environment better. They are working towards this being the best possible desktop it can possibly be. I recently talked about the KDE goals and the funding from the Sovereign Tech Fund, and one of the goals was to get Plasma to a state where it's being shipped on SUSE, it's being shipped on RHEL due to customer demand, because employees at these companies want access to KDE, want access to Plasma, are not happy just using GNOME anymore because that's the thing that Red Hat has had for a while, but want this experience that people on the desktop are having. And I think as you're seeing Valve show off more of Plasma, showing off the showing off SteamOS through the Steam Machine and the Steam Deck, it's not like professionals have no exposure to the rest of the tech industry, right? A lot of the people who are going to work in these like professional developer context, they probably are gamers. They probably know what Valve is doing. They're probably aware of Plasma, even if they don't necessarily daily drive Linux themselves. So being exposed to that and seeing what's been done here, it's not just Valve, but everyone in KDE has done to create this amazing desktop environment. I don't think it's impossible for this to happen. A big part of the reason why a lot of these like big desktops swapped away from KDE was because of their release model. They had this weird cadence where one thing's released, I think, every 3 months, and another every 6 months, and another every 9 months. And there's a reason why Ubuntu and Fedora both release in around April and around October, because that's when GNOME does their releases. They do these 2-yearly releases and then smaller releases in between, and these are really easy to handle if you have a schedule. KDE didn't really have a proper schedule, and it was weird and awkward, and they have been trying to smooth that out over the past couple of years. I think they haven't just yet, but it is something which is absolutely on their radar and absolutely something which is being worked on. I think maybe 2 of the components have been mostly smoothed out, and they have more of a proper schedule now rather than just, it kind of happens when it happens. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in this space. I really don't, but I'm excited for it. I am really excited for it because I want there to be a strong GNOME as well. I really do, but I just can't see it happening right now with the state of the project, with, you know, the whole like use case thing is kind of a meme, but it's really not a meme, because it is very much the mentality that exists within GNOME. GNOME knows best. Use case. What's the use case for that? Like, oh, if you have that feature, then we'll just go and implement it. And yeah, you should go and implement it. Absolutely. But there does seem to be this very sort of different cultural dichotomy between the two projects. That's probably not even a sentence that makes sense. Whereas on GNOME, it feels like unless you're aligned with the goals of the project, your opinion, your thoughts don't really matter. Whereas on KDE, there is this interest in experimenting with ideas and trying things out, letting people do things which are, going to make the code base a bit more complex, but are going to add things which people really care about. That's like the big thing, like adding things which people care about. And you're even seeing this within like GNOME communities, right? Go to the like the GNOME subreddit, for example. Every so often I lurk through there because it's kind of fun to see what is happening on that side. And I've been seeing a lot of these Doom posts where it's like, GNOME feels like it isn't moving. I am not excited about GNOME. I don't know really what GNOME's doing, where GNOME's going. Oh, look, there's another email client. Why is there another email client being made? Why not work on this main one? And there's like nothing wrong with going and like doing your own thing, but it sort of compounds upon itself, where I think a lot of people are starting to realize that it feels like GNOME is kind of spinning its wheels. It's not really going anywhere. There's a lot of things which people want, which people have been asking for a long time. And those thoughts tend to get dismissed as, oh, if you want it, then go and implement it yourself. But then, even when there is an implementation, some of that stuff just sits around for a long time, sits open for a long time, because it doesn't align with the vision, or worse yet, it might align with the vision, but let us go through like 7 different design committees before a color can be changed, before a button can be added. And it's just like, I get it, right? I get it. But at the same time, there is this kind of thing where, even though it's not a corporate project, a lot of the practices, a lot of the ways that it seems like interaction is being done feel very corporate-y. It's like, oh, we want to make this very basic change. We've got to have meetings. We've got to have design committees. We've got to do all of these different things where it's like, you don't need to. You really don't need to. And yeah, Plasma obviously has like some of that as well, but Plasma is willing to ship something. You know what? That's what it is. Plasma is willing to ship something which is not necessarily immediately perfect. Whereas on GNOME, a lot of what you see, there has to be all of these meetings and all these committees and all of this discussion because it can't be updated in the future. It has to be right from the beginning because otherwise people get used to the way it works. And yeah, I get it. But like, I think a lot of people are just... I think a lot of people that work on projects in the open source world, whether it be desktops or others, don't really go and see what is happening in other projects. And I don't just mean, like, interacting with someone on Mastodon. I mean, go and use the project, go and hang out in their spaces, go and, like, read their issue track, go and see what is happening, and see, like, where you can improve, where they can improve, and overall try to just make a better experience and a better piece of software. A lot of people are kind of just like, they live within their own little bubble and they don't know that there is a world outside that bubble. They don't know that there is a use case that is being solved on some other environment because they exist within a context where that use case doesn't even exist, and anyone who had that use case has just long since left to another environment. This isn't where I had planned to go with this discussion, but I guess it works. I think we can round that one up just a little bit, and also we now have the 2026, the 30th anniversary of KDE. Adopt an app, adopt an application, donate to the application, and basically just, fund KDE, but also have your name directly attached to an application and be in their hall of benefactors, their hall of supporters. Right now, only one. They have like 5 spaces of each app. There is only one that's been done so far. That is with Discover. They will bring further apps out as they go. But if there is a specific app that you want to support, jump on that app. I don't know what app I would be like super excited to support. Maybe something like I don't even know. I don't even know what can I support the settings application? You know what? Can I directly adopt the settings application? That is something I would be happy about doing. But yeah, go support the project, go check things out, and yeah, I'm excited to see where things go, and hopefully things keep on the trajectory where they've been going. Plasma big screen gets better. Oxygen, which I didn't even mention this time because I mentioned in prior episodes, Oxygen, it just keeps getting better and better. I'm really liking the Oxygen theme. This is another part of the reason I'm just kind of happy on Plasma. Oxygen is such a nice change from so many other things that exist in this space, in the whole like FOSS theming space, the Linux desktop space, and I'm just happy. I'm just happy on KDE, and yeah, I like it. I like it, and good things are happening. Speaking of not good things happening, though, did you guys hear about the whole Steam Machine Redline thing? So, turns out the problem was not as bad as people were thinking it was. So, there was this semi-viral social media thing where people were saying their Steam Machine redlined. Now, the Steam Machine has this LED bar that you can go and use to, either just be an LED bar, but also it can be used to demonstrate error codes. Now, the bar that people were seeing, this half-red bar, that indicated GPU failure. which is not very good. Turns out, wasn't actually a GPU failure. It instead... I don't know what it was. I actually don't know exactly what it was. They did respond, but it was solved by doing a CMOS clear. Unplug the machine, then press the power button a few times. This ensures any power stored in the PSU gets discharged. You may see the power indicator LED blip for a moment. Plug the machine back in. Note your power LED glows. Breathing pattern white or not. If yes, please send a Steam support ticket and tag me for a chat request with the ID. Hold the power button down for 6 seconds. You see the power LED flash momentarily. Release the power button when you do. The power LED indicator will start to cycle some color codes. These are designed to allow you to select various options for recovery troubleshooting purposes. When the LED turns green, short press the power button. This should perform a full CMOS reset. On the next boot, you should see the RGB bar as blue, and it may take a bit longer to boot due to the memory retraining. This, a lot of people were initially thinking was going to be much worse. Where it was like, you see Red Ring, right? The whole Xbox 360 thing where what was the cause of the Xbox Red Ring? What was that? It was repeated heating and cooling, which fractured and cracked internal solder joints. Ah! Wait, didn't people cook their... Hold up. Xbox 360, Red Ring of Death, oven. Didn't people used to cook their... Yeah, they would go and... This is like this is ancient hardware fix stuff. There's this concept known as reflowing. People would do it with their GPUs a long time ago. Basically, you would heat up the PCB to the point where you melt the solder, and then it would reflow the solder. In many cases, it actually did work. It sounds fucking stupid, but it did work. So people saw this red line of death, this red line on their Steam machine. It indicated a GPU failure, and people were thinking, oh my god, is this going to be like a repeat of the Red Ring of Death? Turns out, nah, seems to be... It's unclear exactly what the cause is, right? Like, they have this solution here, but it is unclear exactly what resulted in it. Whether it was like a firmware failure or something else like that. But considering it's just a CMOS reset, it can't be anything serious. Cause of the Steam machine red line. Do we know the specific cause? So we know it indicates a GPU failure, but I don't think we know... I don't think we actually know why it was happening. Granted, it's only happened to a very small handful of users. We know about, I think, 3 or so confirmed cases. So it's not like this is a thing happening to absolutely everyone, which is the concern that people had, right? As soon as one person has a failure, and that failure looks like something we've seen in the past, then it's like, oh, well, is this going to be another failure, and another failure, and another failure? Thankfully, it doesn't seem to be. Hopefully, it is just some sort of firmware issue, and they can... ship out a firmware update, a BIOS update, and it mostly just resolves itself, at least until there is actual GPU failures, but I guess will happen sometime into the future. Right. Hopefully is not going to happen anytime soon. That would be good. Speaking of failures, though, did you guys see the whole debrand Steam machine thing? This was so fucking stupid. It happened over a week ago. I'm still thinking about it. Like, what the fuck were they doing? So there was the debrand companion cube. They announced this like a year ago. It was definitely a while ago. Is this their original one. Yeah, this is November 2025. I guess not exactly a year ago, but far enough ago. Like, hey guys, here's this skin for the Steam Machine. It'll look like a companion cube. Turns out, they didn't tell Valve. They didn't tell Valve. Well, maybe they told Valve, but Valve was, and it was just like, no, they didn't have the clearance to go and make this. I don't know, like legitimately, I don't know how they managed to get so far into production that they actually let this happen, right? Like, how do you get into production and you don't know if you're legally allowed to make this? And this isn't the first time Dbrand has done this. Wasn't it with the PS5, Dbrand PS5 plate drama? Yeah, this was like 5 years ago. Dbrand starts selling matte black PS5 plates and dares Sony to sue them. Did anything actually happen of that? Okay, Sony sent them a cease and desist, claiming patent infringement on the console's shape. Dbrand was forced to pull the original, but quickly struck back with an entirely redesigned version. So I think this is kind of, like, Dbrand's been this real weird brand. Like, they are probably the most lenient brand when it comes to advertising. Go watch the LTT collaborations, right? Like, they've let LTT just say some things that no other brand would get away, like, let you get away with describing their product. Like, just insulting them. This seems to be the way that Dbrand operates, where they treat, like, any attention they can possibly get, whether it be legal, especially legal, because legal is like, ooh, there's a product that looks, it's a cool product, and that's the thing, the company is not letting us have it, Sony's not letting us have it, Valve is not letting us have it, and I get it, right? Like, if you don't know the full story, and you're like, Valve is trying to cease and desist, Valve is trying to stop this companion cube being made, you might find that annoying, and rightfully so, especially if you were one of the 15,000 people that had pre-ordered it under the assumption that it was going to be made. But they did offer refund. They did, like, initiate refunds and do that, so people got their money back. But I get why you might be annoyed with Valve and with Sony in prior cases. But still, there's going to come a point where they cross a line and somebody actually does try to, like, actually pursue them if this is the route that we are going to be going with handling these products. I don't know what Dbrand's got in store for the future. What I can say is they're probably going to do something stupid. I will, however, say it does feel like a missed opportunity for Valve not to do this. Whether it be to go and actually collaborate with Dbrand or do their own or something else like that, it does feel like a massively missed opportunity to not make a companion cube. Because we didn't get anything with the Steam Machine. I remember a few months ago, people were like, guys, when the Steam Machine comes out, this is when the next Valve game is coming. This is when Half-Life 3 is coming. And I guess you can possibly get it still with the Steam frame. Maybe you get a new Half-Life VR thing, a Portal VR thing. Maybe you get something. You're not getting anything, though. It's not happening. I know people like, guys, it's gonna happen. Guys, the Steam frame is gonna be when we get the next thing. The Steam Machine, this is gonna be when we get fucking Half-Life 3. Oh my god, guys, it's gonna happen. The cope, man. The cope will never fucking end. But at least you're gonna get one thing. At least one thing is definitely coming your way. there is this right here. Valve open sourced the Steam Machine e-ink screen so you can make your own. This is something that was shown off a long time ago, and people were like, wow, that's cool. Valve, you should sell it to us. And Valve was like, nah, we good. That's fucking expensive, and who knows if anyone's actually going to buy it. So, they went and was just like, hey, here you go. Now, JSorks, JSucks, whatever the fuck you want to call them, they did say they were going to make their own version. They were working on that, all that good stuff. But I guess if they're going to just release everything, surely they won't say, hey, don't do it this time. What did they release it under? MIT. Okay, they released it under MIT. I guess they're not going to do anything, so if you want to just go and, like, make this and sell it and do whatever you want, fucking go right ahead, I guess, which is sick. I'm happy at least, even though we're not getting all, like, you know, we're not getting any game, at the very least, we're getting this, which is something. I don't know. I think, you know, I'm not going to do my whole rant about e-ink being really cool again. I already did that one time, but I am so sad about what the Steam Machine could have been if we managed to get it at a semi-reasonable price, right? Because it's not the Steam Machine's expensive, it's that all fucking PCs are expensive. But imagine if we were able to get something like this before all these prices went up, back when things were actually still a reasonable price. I think sentiment would have been very different on the Steam Machine, right? We know that prices were likely, based on things they've said since the early interviews, that prices were likely going to be somewhere around the original Steam Machine prices, the original Steam Deck prices. And I don't think anyone would have had a problem then. But so much of the discussion around the Steam Machine has basically just been, it's expensive. Hey guys, you can build a cheaper one. Look guys, here's a parts list, we can buy a cheaper one. And that's great. And I hope it tricks people into actually going and building Linux PCs. But I do wish it did well, because if it did well, there'll be more of an incentive to go and make more. And I don't think this is going to be like Valve pulling out of Linux gaming. I wish it had done better. And we don't know how many it sold, right? We don't know how many it sold, but I can't imagine with how expensive it was that it's done, like, phenomenally well. It's going to do phenomenally well in the long run. But they have said, I was going to find it. They have said in, like, other interviews, Steam Machine, faster new version. They have said they're going to, like, yeah. Here's this random website, which is probably not a super reliable site, but I think it links to, like, the Verge article or something. They've talked about the idea of new Steam machines being released faster than the Steam Deck, which makes sense because it's basically just like a mini PC, as opposed to a handheld, which has all of this extra stuff you gotta deal with because it's a tiny fucking device. I'm curious to see what happens with the deck, though, right? I'm so curious to see what happens with the deck, because the deck is still being sold. It's still functionally the same hardware. There's a different drive in it from the start, and we have the OLED version, but functionally still, like, the same main performance-critical hardware. And we haven't heard any rumors. We've not heard any, like, any leaks. There's not been any data mined from repos. We've kind of just not really heard anything about the deck. And if the deck does release anytime around when we are right now, it's going to have the same problems, right? It's going to have the exact same problems. That's my worry, that if they get to that point and we have another Steam Deck around, that it's not going to have that same excitement around it, that same fervor, because whatever it costs is just going to feel like way too much money. State of the PC industry, man. The state of the PC industry just makes me sad. Because I should also use my deck more. That's the other thing. I should use my deck more. I can talk about the deck being cool, but I don't really travel. Like, I don't go on the train or anything that much. Basically, the only time I get on the train is when I'm going to the city because I don't want to drive in the city and I don't want to park in the city because it sucks and it's expensive and I don't want to do it, so I don't do it. Also, yeah, it's easy to catch the train. The trains in SA aren't the greatest trains. They're not the fastest trains, but they're trains and they're mostly clean. And you're probably not gonna get stabbed as long as it's not a Saturday night. Nah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, probably. But hey, at the very least, Valve is still doing Proton. They're still supporting KDE. They still have this whole SteamOS thing. People are gaslighting themselves into thinking they need SteamOS. But at the end of the day, if it means more people gaming on Linux, kind of just a good thing for everyone. Because there will come a critical number where developers then have to ask the question, is it now financially viable to support our game on Linux? Is it now financially viable to enable our anti-cheat? Is it now financially viable to worry about bugs that happen running the game through Proton? There comes a point where that is a question that has to be asked, because there came a point where it had to be asked for macOS, and macOS is lower in a lot of the surveys. Now, macOS also has the advantage of being a more locked down system, so it's easier to go and support things like, malware level anti-cheat. Not to the same extent, because there's certain things Apple doesn't let you do. That's the other thing, though. A lot of companies are kind of used to working with Apple and doing things the Apple way. So doing things the Linux way, where you have all of these different distros, there's a different level of incentive that needs to be there, likely considerably higher. But there is a number, right? If it's 10% of the market, if it's 15, if it's 20, 25, by that point, it would make sense if they would seriously consider Linux, but I don't know. Now, it is kind of nice, even though I don't play them, it is kind of nice that we are seeing a lot of the gacha bullshit actually work on Linux. Now, you gotta run some custom version of Protons to make it all work, but you can go and play NTE if that is your thing. Now, I don't exactly care about gacha slop, but if you do, hey, look, I'm not gonna tell you not to play your gacha slop, right? I cannot criticize anyone else for playing gacha slop when half the fucking time I'm watching, isekai slop seasonals. So, is isekai slop any better than gacha slop? Yes, because I'm not spending money to get some fucking role of a character, but it's still slop nonetheless. It's still not exactly the most fine dining of media, one might say. Speaking of things that are not fine dining, that's a terrible segue, but I have some ideas for a series of videos I'm going to do. I have now ordered the hardware. It should be here by next Monday. Did you know that JB Hi-Fi, are you gonna dox me? That's why I check it. Okay. Did you know that you can just buy a new GT 710? You can just buy them. This is effectively e-waste. And this is not a second-hand card, by the way. This is a new card being sold today. Let us find the specs of the legendary GT710. It has a grand total. Firstly, it was released in 2014 based on the Kepler architecture. Kepler GPUs. That is your... where is it? Where are they? Give me all... Yes, here we go. This is your GTX 600 cards up to your GTX Titan Z. Also, the GT 1030. No, that's a Pascal card. Wait. GT... I thought that was... Isn't that not a Pascal card? GT 1030 Pascal. Why am I being lied to? It's a Pascal card. Yeah, it's a fucking Wikipedia. Now, why does this card exist? There's many reasons why it shouldn't exist. But there are some reasons it does exist. So one of the primary functions this card is sold for is Asus makes a variant that looks like this. It has 4 HDMI ports on it. This is the cheapest possible way to have 4 more video outputs. I'm not going to say good video outputs, but 4 more video outputs on a system. So for like a security system, something like that, this is a way you can do it for about 40 Australian dollars. Actually, I think the HDMI version is a bit more expensive. Yeah, the HDMI version's around $90, which is a lot of money for a fucking literal e-waste. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked by the specs. It has a... no, wrong page. It has 192 total CUDA cores. A 954 megahertz core clock. And a very low TDP of 19 watts. Now, Tech Power Up, do you have benchmarks of this GPU? Recommended gaming resolutions. 640 by 480. It's not even green. They have it as yellow. Yup. I want to see a benchmark of this. GT710 benchmark. Somebody's got to have benchmarked it. Guru 3D, this is a 14-year-old card. You guys should have a benchmark, surely. Oh my god, they do. Oh my god. Oh, and this was a Galax card. It has a fucking ribbon cable on it. Do they even have a benchmark? No, they don't even, they didn't even bother to benchmark it. Guys, I want to see someone benchmark this. Phoronix, okay. These old versions had... Yeah, so modern versions don't have VGA anymore. But anyway, what are they... Here we go. Do we have gaming benchmarks? Okay. Woo! Holy! Okay. So, for anyone just listening, we are on high in BioShock Infinite. A GTX 650 did 16 FPS. A GT710... 6. Hey, you can almost play CSGO. Not CS2 probably, but CSGO. 25 FPS in CSGO. What else do we have on here? Oh, we're testing Open Arena. Do you even benchmark any other real games? TF2, you get 36 FPS in TF2. Xonotic, you get 70. Now, you're probably wondering, Brody, why the fuck did you buy a GT 710? Well, okay, let me explain. Because I also bought another card. I also bought a GT 1030. I think it was like $80 to get both of them. GT 1030 benchmarks. Someone's got to have benchmarked it, surely. Surely. Is the GT 1030 worth it in 2023? No, it wasn't worth it in fucking... When did it come out? When did it release? Fucking 2017? Yeah, it wasn't worth it in 2017. Gamers Nexus. GT 1030, a disgrace of a video card. Okay, yep, that's about right. Oh yeah, it both of these tend to underperform an APU, just an APU. Hey, you can get 28 FPS in Rocket League. Oh wow. You can get 39 FPS in Dota 2 on high. Hey, on high. Wow. There's also there's a DDR4 version. Wait, there's a DDR4 version, a GDDR5 version. Which version did I actually buy? I don't remember. Either way, I'm not going to be gaming on them. Just so we're clear, I'm not. Okay, I might game on them. They'd be funny. Why did I buy a GT 710 and a GT 1030? Okay, let me explain. Let me explain. So, Wayland. Okay, so let me. Okay. Do you know that there's certain versions of the NVIDIA GPU or the NVIDIA drivers that Wayland doesn't work? And I don't mean like it's like buggy. I mean like there was a point where the drivers didn't support Wayland. That point is the GT 710. So not only is it a piece of shit GPU, it also requires Novo to launch Wayland. So my idea, my thought process here is let's try running Wayland with the worst possible GPU on the market, just to see how unusable is it unusable? Can you run modern KDE with the open source drivers with literal e-waste of a GPU? I don't know. I don't have the card yet. But it should theoretically work. Now, the thing with the GT 1030, this is slightly different because it actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say, is it 580? 570. 580? Wait, NVIDIA Linux latest driver. I think it supports 580. Now, it's not good, because it's still a piece of shit. However, it does support drivers. Which are proprietary, which theoretically should work with Wayland. So I kind of want to give, like, Nuvo, open source, utter garbage, and then slightly better utter garbage. Because here's the thing. I know there are people out there who, have these drivers not as a meme, but, like, actually just, like, have the drivers. I think I want to say it was 580. I'm going to have to check afterwards. Latest supported Linux driver. Yeah. Theoretically, it should. Yeah, it should support 580, which is not the latest driver, but latest enough where I should be able to test it. And I want to do a couple of desktops, like KDE. I want to do GNOME. I want to try it out with Cosmic. Cosmic will be interesting because I don't know. I actually don't know if Cosmic's even going to open with a GT710 with the open source drivers. And then I also want to go and do like an actual like non-stupid setup, right? I want to go and test it using X11. Try it out with like XSCE, things like that. Because on X11, it should, I'm going to say fine, it should work. It shouldn't immediately crash. It should actually do something on the on X11. The whether or not it's going to do something on Wayland, well, that's the fun. That's the fun there. I kind of just want to see how bad it graphically glitches, how bad like basic effects just don't play nicely at all, how much they just break, and just see what that experience really is like with a piece of shit GPU. Just terrible GPU, where every APU on the market performs better. Like, just get a secondhand GPU around the same price, it'll perform better. Everything you could possibly get will perform better, but some people have them. And they're still sold new. They're not made. I don't think Nvidia makes them anymore. I can't imagine they do, but I guess Asus and other companies have a bunch of old stock, and you might, if someone's going to buy it, you might as well sell it. I'm not encouraging you to go buy these GPUs, just so we're clear. Don't buy them. Who knows? Maybe they're okay, but considering the fact that I wasn't like, let's see, I want to say like 5 years ago, LTT, GT 1030. Yeah, about 3 years ago, LTT put out a video. YouTube made me review this budget GPU. They did another video. Was this on the 1630? Well, what's this one? Okay, thank you, YouTube. Appreciate it. Love playback not working.
It's easy to look at a GPU.
What are we looking at here? Oh, yep.
It's easy to look at a...
There's a 6400 here. That's a real GPU that people might actually buy. What are we comparing? Is it... Oh, no, it's another video on the GT 1030, this time with the 1630, which might be a slightly better cut. Can you still buy it? 1630, actually? I didn't check that one. NVIDIA 1630. No, those ones you gotta buy secondhand. That's no fun. That's no fun at all. Because that's a Turing card. Like, if you could buy one of those new, if anyone has one, because a Turing card, that'll support the latest drivers. I don't want to go buy one, but I can't. If somebody wants to send a 1630 my way, let me know, and we can possibly try to arrange something. Because then I could have garbage shit tier GPU that only supports the open drivers, garbage shit tier GPU which supports a slightly out of date driver branch, and then garbage shit tier GPU which supports the modern drivers. And by all accounts, the modern drivers should be working. Now, it's a garbage shit tier GPU, so it's probably not going to work very well, but by all accounts, it should be working. Probably. Maybe. It's still a garbage shit tier GPU. Yeah. So keep an eye out for those videos. I don't know when they're going to come out. Just a matter of me, it's not going to be like the Chromebook. It's not going to be like the Chromebook. I know I've said I'm going to work on Chromebook videos quite a number of times, and I never got around to doing it. I still have the Chromebooks somewhere. I think they're in that drawer down there. That's slightly off camera. And I've just not got around to doing it. This is not going to be that. This is something I actually will do because this is something I actually do think is going to be kind of fun. And I don't think anyone else has really done it, which also makes it kind of fun as well. And I don't think anyone else is stupid enough to do it anyway. I will definitely sort of clarify the videos, be like, this is not going to work well. Like, this is going to break. Like, there's no world where KDE works well with the GT710. There is no world where GNOME works well. I don't know if there's a world where Cosmic works. It might, but I don't think that world is going to be the one that we live in. But it could. Who knows? Who knows? One little quick thing. I don't know if anyone's noticed. I have lost a bit of weight over the last couple of months. I was around, what was it? 90. I'll convert this to pounds for the Americans. I was around 97 kilos back in April. That was 214 pounds. I am now down to about 89, which is 196 pounds. So I'm now under both 90 kilograms and under 200 pounds. My goal is to get somewhere in and around the range of 75 to 80 kilograms, which is around 165 to 176 pounds. Somewhere in that range is pretty much where I'm aiming at. Because the number was getting a little bit higher than I would like. And that was becoming a problem. Because I have seen people in my family, and many of them do get quite overweight. And that is not a problem that I want to deal with later in my life. I'd much rather deal with that one as early as possible, so it doesn't become a problem later on. Mostly, it has been a matter of going for walks and cutting down on portion sizes. That's been pretty much what it is. I do need to get back to the gym. I've said many times I need to get back to the gym. At the very least, for a sauna, because saunas are nice. Especially right now because it's winter. But in general, sauna's just nice anyway. It's actually kind of nice to get in a... It might sound counterintuitive. It's nice to do a sauna in the middle of summer. I know that sounds dumb. But the sauna is much hotter than it is outside. So if you're acclimatized to the sauna, when you go back outside into the hot weather, you're like, this isn't actually that bad. I know, it sounds dumb. I know it sounds dumb. But it was very pleasant. It was surprisingly pleasant. So that's something that's been going on in my life, right? I need to get back to the gym. I really need to get back to the gym. I did enjoy the gym. That's the other thing. I did enjoy it. It's just I got sick at one point, and then I stopped going for I got pretty sick. I got sick for a week or so, and I stopped going, and then I kind of broke the habit. And then I started sleeping in a bunch more, which is something I still also need to address. And things kind of compounded in a way that I didn't really like, and I've kind of had to sort of bring things back in. So, at the very least, things are going in a positive direction there, and hopefully we can stay on the horse. Hopefully we can stay on the horse, and I've also been cooking more, which is also nice. And now I say cooking more, but primarily that means chicken and rice, which is fine. I like chicken. Chicken and rice is good. Chicken and rice is good. It's not hard. Sometimes it's chicken and fried rice. Sometimes it's chicken and steamed rice with some sauce packet in it. You know, works out pretty well. I can get these little honey soy sauce packets. I cut up some capsicum, or what the fuck do you... Red pepper? Is that what a red pepper is? Bell pepper. Bell pepper. Yes, that one. Red bell peppers and green bell peppers. Some onions. Some spring onions. And it's good, and some chicken, and it's good to go. It's easy. I usually like to bulk cook. I like make enough for like 3 meals at once, and then I just eat it over the next 3 days, and it works. It's easy, it's lazy, and hey, that fits. And then I don't have to cook the next couple of days because I've already sorted the problem out. But, you know, that's just me. Yeah. I don't want to become a problem. That's the main thing. Because if you let it become a problem, then it is harder to solve. I saw the number going up. I saw the number creeping close to 100 kilograms, which is 100 kg to LB, which is 220. So that's like not really a round number when we're talking about, like, you know, pounds, but in kilograms, it's like this, you know, 100, you're adding an extra digit, and then it's like, I like it. So I saw things going in that direction. I had to turn things around. Also, people in my comments were calling me fat for a while, and, you know, at some point I was like, you know what, they're right, yeah. Now I have a different problem. I bought some pants during the point where I was a little bit heavier, and now I need to go buy new pants because they're a little bit falling off. Yeah. I have a belt. I could wear the belt. Right, I could wear the belt. But I don't plan to go back up the numbers either, so I don't necessarily need that. Yeah. Also an excuse to get out more. Yeah, because we have a lot of, I've probably mentioned it before, a lot of my shirts that I wear on my videos, I've, like, bought at Uniqlo. Now, the plain white shirts I usually get at, like, Kmart, but I have some like the ones that, like, blue into, like, a white into, like, a fade blue. I got those at Uniqlo a while ago, and there's Uniqlo in the city, so excuse for me to go into the city and then also go to places like Shin Tokyo and Good Games and various other places and find some, like, very nice restaurant that I've not been to in the city. So who knows? Maybe I'll go into the city this weekend, depending on what the weather is like. What is it going to be on Saturday? Rain. Okay, maybe I won't go into the city on Saturday. We'll see. We will see what it is like. Maybe it changes. Also, it's not that big of a deal to go to the city when it's raining anyway. I've got an umbrella. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. Either way, though, yeah, things are going well for that. Let us move on from that one. And here's one that I almost didn't get a chance to talk about because it would have been old news if I didn't do it this week. Sony and the death of physical media. This is a big one. So I think we all know it was coming. I don't think a lot of people thought it was coming from Sony, but I think a lot of people have forgotten that Sony is a very different company than they were back in 2014. When was the PS4 video? PS4 game sharing video. Game sharing ad. 2013 was the video. Is it still on their channel? No shit, it's still on their channel. Oh my god, it's still on their channel. So this is a video from 13 years ago. Official PlayStation used game instructional video. I'll just play it for you guys.
This is how you share your games on PS4. Thanks.
PlayStation.
So this was mocking Xbox at the time, who was it they were doing a disc on a console? Were they doing game locking to the... I don't remember the exact reason, but Xbox was trying to lock down game sharing. And with that being the case, it is sad to see that Sony are the ones who make this change. if anyone didn't hear it, in 2028, Sony is going to be stopping the production of physical disc games. There's still going to be collector's editions of games. There's still going to be boxes for games, but now you're going to be buying a box with a code in it. So I have a feeling a lot more games are just not going to even go to the retailers and are just going to go direct to the PlayStation Store. But at least on the bright side, I don't give a shit about Sony at this point. I have zero interest in Sony at this point. I don't even know the last time I was excited for a PlayStation exclusive game. Because every game that I've been excited for, with one game, every other game I've been excited for on the PS5 eventually came to PC. FF16, Stellar Blade, both I played on the PS5, but they eventually made their way to PC. Demon's Souls is the only game I even remotely care about that is still only on the PS5. I remember when Sony was like the game console. Remember the PlayStation 2? Remember how good the PlayStation 2 was? Remember how good those days were? Remember the days of like really good PlayStation exclusives? Remember those days? Now, I don't like exclusives are not a good thing, right? Like exclusives are not good for the consumer, but I miss the days where first-party Sony games actually were good. I miss those days. I want things to be good. I want good games. And now all the good games are either on Switch. There's some good JRPGs that I don't want to buy a Switch, but there's some good JRPGs that are locked to Switch and they're on PC. And that's basically what we get. There is no reason for me to buy a PlayStation console. However, with this happening, it's going to happen on Xbox. It's going to happen on Xbox. The next-gen Xbox is going to be disc only. There is no... Unless they really want to make it like a big marketing thing, I really doubt... Especially with the direction Xbox has been going anyway. Like, they're firing like 3,200 people. They're going like hyper-streamlined. It's still Microsoft, so they still have a lot of people. But they're getting rid of a lot of people. I believe id's actually being shut down in all of this as well, which is... Yeah, another company that, you know, it's not the people who worked at id that you know about id for aren't there anymore, but it is sad to see a company like that being stripped apart. But this is the direction things are going. I don't know what Nintendo's going to do, because I think Nintendo has obviously the game key cards, right, which are already like... You can sell them, but they are tied to your account, so you gotta I think you gotta disconnect it from your account or something like that. But is Nintendo gonna go full digital only? I don't think Nintendo will as quickly. I think there's something about, and maybe I'm wrong. I think Nintendo still may still want to keep around that family toy kind of vibe, and that idea of we have a cartridge, we stick it in the machine and we play it like that. Maybe to Nintendo it doesn't really matter and they're going to go digital only as well. But I have a feeling if anyone's going to hold out longer, it might be Nintendo. I guess this brings up the discussion I've talked about before. I think it's possible we might see a cloud only version of the console, like you've kind of got with the PlayStation Portal, where it only really functions as a console if you have the PS5. It is basically a external screen for your PS5. I think there is a non-zero possibility something kind of similar happens with the consoles as well, where, you know, you have to have an internet connection. This is something they've tried in the past. You've got to have an internet connection. And then you've got to stream the game. Do I think it's going to happen? I think there is a possibility of an addition. I don't think it's going to be the... I don't think they do only version just yet. But maybe halfway through the generation, they would consider it. Maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, look, I don't want it to happen, but maybe I'm just kind of like overselling how much they'd really like to do it. Because if it was cloud-based, then you would need like a guaranteed subscription, and then it's like you're always paying them money. And maybe they can even give you some little bonuses and incentives, like a kind of Game Pass deal. But at the end of the day, you're still getting fucked, basically. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait a little bit. When did the PS5 come out? PS5 release date. 2020. But that's the other thing with the PS5. The adoption has been not great because, well, you had COVID with shortages. Now you have AI with hardware price increase, and it hasn't hit the consoles anywhere near as much. That's the other thing. That's the other part of the reason why I think there's a possibility of a cloud-based version. How much are the next-gen consoles going to cost? How much are they going to cost? What is the PS5 right now? Because they raised the price not too long ago. PS5 Pri... Whoa! The slim version is 919 Australian dollary dues. Price USA. The slim is $649 for the disc, $599 for the digital, $899 for the Pro. Yeah, $999 for the disc and $919 for the slim. $13.99 for the Pro in Australia. I think there's a non-zero chance the base version in Australia might actually be over $1,000 when the PlayStation 6 comes out. I don't want it to be the case. And if it is, there's zero chance I'm buying for. I'm buying it, right? Like, there's no world. Unless you've got some, like, it's got to be some crazy list of games. And considering the state Sony has been in, I don't think they have a crazy list of games anymore. Unless they're like, we're gonna revive fucking every PS2 classic that people have wanted to come back for a while. It's like Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter. We have Ratchet and Clank exclusively on this. We have this. We have that. We have fucking Bloodborne 2. And here's the thing, From Software, they've gone to Nintendo now, so that one's not going to happen. And they're not going to have a Final Fantasy game because Square Enix has also gone to Nintendo. It's funny, all of the big Japanese studios have just fucking left Sony behind, and it's like, hey, Nintendo, how you guys doing? Because Nintendo doesn't care as much about exclusives to third parties because they have a really strong first-party lineup. Like, Nintendo... You know, they've got Mario Party, they've got Smash, they've got Donkey Kong, they've got Kirby, they've got Legend of Zelda, they've got Pokemon, even Pokemon's not in a great state. Say Mario Kart? I don't know if I said Mario Kart. If I did, I did. If I didn't, then, you know. Fucking... Pikmin came back a while ago with another game. They've got Star Fox is back. I don't know if they're going to do anything more with it. Like, Nintendo has such a strong lineup, and they actually make games people care about. Sony has discount Kojima. Everyone thinks they're Kojima. Everyone thinks they can make this big movie game, and all of them come out, and you're like, this is... this is not great. This is not great. Oh. But hey, maybe things get better. Maybe they do. There's a non-zero chance things get better. I don't think it's gonna get better, but hey. At least there's one less thing to care about. At least it is one less thing to care about. Even my PS5 has primarily been a PS4 emulator. That's its main function. Like, the last game I played on it was a PS4 game. I guess there was a PS5 version for it, but it was a PS4 game. I played Bloodborne first on the PS5. Like, yeah. I get why Sony's afraid of PC, because they don't have any games. And the games they do have, no one gives a shit about. So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Yeah. One little thing I want to talk about, I don't know, little thing, big thing, whatever it is. This is a Razer device. And Razer is officially certifying their device with support for Linux. Now, it's not the first time they've expressed any interest in Linux, but this is the first time they're officially saying Ubuntu is supported on this device. Now, I don't really care about the laptop. The laptop itself, it's wildly expensive, and no one's actually going to buy it who really cares, right? It is a Core Ultra 9 290HX Plus and a 5090, right? This is a fucking very expensive laptop. However, the fact that they went out of their way, to basically say, we care about Linux. And yes, it's a monetary thing. It's the whole Steam machine. It's the Steam Deck. It's this gaining support of Linux. But it's ultimately a good thing for companies to recognize that people are using this platform and that people want to know that things work well on the platform. Because whilst this laptop doesn't matter, other laptops are cheaper. They do matter. And other companies, when they see another company doing it, whether it be Dell, or whether it be Framework, or whether it be Lenovo, or whether it be now Razer, they see other companies doing this and like, oh, well, they're doing it. I guess we should do it as well. And then someone else does it, and someone else does it. And eventually get to a point where you start having it be kind of industry standard to say, this device works well on Linux. This device is supported on Linux. Here you go, right? Like, every little step is important. Every little change that happens here is an improvement in this direction. And whilst Ubuntu doesn't matter, if it works well on Ubuntu, it's going to work well on basically anything else. Maybe it doesn't have any like weird custom drivers that nobody else ships, which, considering it's a Razer laptop, it very well might. But I'm just excited to see that more and more people are actually, finally, willing to actually try Linux. Because people have been saying it for so long. Year of the Linux desktop. Year of Linux desktop. Linux is great. Try out Linux. Oh my god, Linux is so good now. Look, guys, Proton's here. You can play your games. People have been doing this for a long time. People being me, I am people, and other people as well, but I am also people. People have been saying this for a long time, and it's taken so long for people to for people who are not the same people, to actually consider maybe they're right. Maybe there is something here. Maybe it's actually worth looking into, and it's not all hype. But obviously, you're still going to have the people who are going to be like, oh, well, Linux is bad because I can't play this thing and I can't play that thing. And hey, if it's your favorite game and that's the game you play, if you're like a fucking one-game Andy and you play League, hey, I get it. I don't care about League. That's fine. But even so, right, there comes a point where, like I was saying before, there comes a point where if Linux gets popular enough, at some point, Riot will say, hey, maybe it's like financially viable now to support these platforms. So you should never really just like discredit the fact that things are getting better, right? Even if you don't care about Linux today, you should support the fact that people are willing to give an alternative platform a try, because eventually there's going to be an alternative platform that is viable for you. And you know, if you ever get sick of Windows and you want to give something new a try, knowing there is something else out there, and knowing that there is a thing which has been worked on for so long, has been supported for so long, and has this future which doesn't really exist anywhere else, like that's a good thing for you, even if right at this very moment, this is not the thing that you are willing to use and you are capable of using. So, I don't know if we're going to get to a point where we're going to see, like, a Linux section in a hardware retailer, like a JB Hi-Fi or whatever stores you have. But it would be nice. It's been something people have talked about for a long time. There's always been these like cases of like a one-off laptop here and there. But it would be really cool for, like there is an Apple section in a lot of places, for there to be a general Linux section. And you can just walk in and buy a Linux laptop or buy a Linux desktop and just get something where just out of the box it works. But even if you can't, right? Even if you can't, at least people who are more in the know are getting to a position where they're willing to try. You're seeing big tech channels, even though they're saying some stupid shit in some cases, like some of the stuff that's been said by LTT, at least they're willing to try it and willing to show it off and willing to encourage users to try it, and people are willing to experiment along with it, and it's cool. It's cool. There is obviously a culture change that's happening with Linux because of this, because a lot of these people are not developers and don't really know the developer mindset, how to read documentation, how to like communicate in these repos. So you are going to see like a big shift there. Especially, one thing you're going to see there is definitely a lot of people more willing to adopt AI. I don't think AI is anywhere near as pushed back against as it appears on the internet. I think a lot of people don't really care. Obviously, they care about prices of shit going up, but outside of prices of shit going up, there's a lot of people who are just kind of willing to use it. And especially a lot of new developers, I've talked about this a number of times, a lot of new developers who are growing up with AI are using AI from the ground up. So I think there's going to be a big cultural change that happens there. There's obviously still some psychosis about AI, but I do think over the next 10 years, we're going to see a big cultural shift that happens on Linux. And I'm curious to see what comes out on top. I'm curious to see how much of this is going to result in KDE growing more and GNOME not growing more, or GNOME growing, or GNOME shifting, or something else coming along, or whatever happens. I'm just curious to see what happens. I guess we can wrap up on one minor, slight AI topic. So, have you guys seen all of these, like, AI anime clips? A lot of them are trained on work of a studio known as Ufotable. Ufotable makes many things. Let me find a list of their series. Primarily, people would know them of series like Fate. And I guess more recently, the Demon Slayer series. Or the Genshin series, which is never coming out. It's never fucking coming out. Just stop expecting it. But they've also done Garden of Sinners and various other things. Anyway, they have a new movie that is coming out, and this is not AI. But because a lot of their work has been used to train AI, a lot of people will see something like this and think it's AI, because the AI is trying to emulate, especially shots like this one. The AI is trying to emulate the style of Ufotable. So you see the original source material, and you're like, ah this, the original source material, that's the AI. Not the AI that we're actually seeing that is trying to look like this. No. This here, that's the AI. And you get this with a lot of things, right? You get this with a lot of writing. You get this, especially with artists. There are a lot of artists that have a very common style which gets adopted by the AI. And there's a lot of artists that get called out, you're using AI. And it turns out they're not. And they've been doing this style for like 15 years. And people are like, no, but that's AI because it looks like the AI. So we're actually seeing a world where a lot of people who think they can identify AI are now at a point where they are mischaracterizing real, actual work as AI because they are so confident on the style that they think is AI. And we're also seeing, like, I saw this thing from like, Grammarly, where they are selling this thing where they can use AI to write your document in a way that doesn't seem like AI. So we're using AI to trick the AI into thinking the AI is not AI. What a future we're in for, guys. What an exciting future we're in for. It's gonna be great. I'm sure there's gonna be nothing bad that comes from it whatsoever, and I'm sure everything is gonna be positive. Hopefully at some point we get cheaper RAM and cheaper storage. I'm not holding out that much hope though. So let's hope I don't need any anytime soon. So I guess we'll end it there. I don't know what's going to be out on the main channel. I guess the big screen video will be out sometime around this time coming out. Maybe on Sunday, maybe on Friday. I don't know. Around this time. What else? Yeah, what happened to my teeth? What did I eat that was orange? I don't know. Anyway. On the gaming channel, I will be playing through Metal Gear Solid 3. So check that one out. That will be very fun. I've not started it yet, but the day after? 2 days after this is being recorded, so on Friday, the day before this comes out, that'll be the first stream. And I'm also playing through Yakuza Like a Dragon, or Yakuza 7, which is also very fun, and I'm really enjoying it. We're finally done with Shenmue. Thank fucking God we're done with Shenmue. Oh my God, Shenmue was a mess. Maybe I'll talk about that in the next solo episode we do. Yeah, I might do that. Anyway, maybe we'll talk about Trails from Zero as well, because I'll be done with that by then as well. Not done with it in my spare time. I need to do it. I'm in the final chapter. Almost done with it, so I'll be done this weekend. Yes. If you're watching the video version of this, you find the audio version basically every podcast platform at Tech Over Tea. The video is Tech Over Tea on YouTube. We also have a video on Spotify as well, so check that out. That is going to be it for me. Be good, be safe, don't drink too much, and I am out. I'm doing my stream outro for these. I don't know why. I should think of something different for these. We'll see. Come back for the next outro, and you'll see something probably the same, because I'll probably forget by then. But see anyway. Bye-bye.